Religions are like pure rain, falling on earth and nourishing life. It brings about beautiful flowers, trees, and vegetation. In the same way rain is necessary for life, religion and morality are necessary to maintain peace, serenity, and hope. Just as Judaism turns to Moses for their teachings, and the Christians believe that Jesus was sent by God, the Muslims believe that Prophet Muhammad received the revelation of Islam. In the early 600 AD, in the city of Mecca in the Arabian Peninsula, Islam was born to continue the religious traditions set out from the dawn of mankind. The Arabic word Islam is related to silm and salam. It means peace and a wholesome surrender to God.
Islam is the culmination of the Abrahamic religions.
I couldn't understand what was connecting us to the Muslims. Why? Explain that to me.
We as Muslims and Christians are in one camp. We do not discriminate between a Muslim and a Christian. Prophet Muhammad says about the people of the Holy Book that our rights are their rights and our duties and their duties are the same. We believe in this case in what Prophet Muhammad says about himself and his brother prophets and messengers. We prophets are brothers. Our religion is one, though our procedural work is diverse. The source of religion is one.
We Muslims consider that Islam is the continuity of the previous Abrahamic religions in this final form of Islam.
To Muslims, Muhammad is the last prophet, continuing the message of Moses and Jesus Christ.
Muhammad emerges as, within Islam, as the final prophet. His example is such within the Muslim community that popularly he's often referred to as the living Quran. That is, he is the model. His practice, his sunnah, what the prophet said and did.
The Arabic word Allah is the proper name for God, Lord of the creation, maker and sustainer of this universe and beyond.
I think that there's a great misunderstanding. People act as if Allah is somehow a special private name, when in fact it's the Arabic word for God.
There's of course one God in the universe, and Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all relate to this same God. In medieval Judaism, the medieval commentators who wrote in Arabic referred to that God as Allah, just as the Muslims and Christian commentators also referred to God as Allah.
Muslims believe from the unity of God comes the unity of the universe and the unity of religion. From this unity stems the fraternity of all people and all beliefs.
وَأَحَبُّ الْخَلْقِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِعِيَالِهِ.
Prophet Muhammad says, all creatures are God's dependents. He didn't say the Muslims only, or the Christians, or the Jews. All creatures are God's dependents. The most lovable to God is he who is most helpful to God's dependents.
All three of the major religions have a book that helps them interpret the will of God. For the Muslims, this book is the Quran. The Quran is a complete code of guidance and the source of spiritual nourishment, healing, and mercy for all believers.
God addressed Prophet Muhammad saying that he will accept those who turn to him in penitence, those who believe, and whose hearts find completion in the remembrance of Allah. For without doubt in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find comfort.
When the heart is cleansed from all vices and enlightened by the guidance of Allah, the rest of the body and all the senses will follow accordingly.
Serenity is a result of contemplation. If we think from our heart, then our heart becomes our conscience.
The Quran describes the teachings of Prophet Muhammad in three major categories: the Holy Quran, or Al-Kitab, wisdom, hikmah, and inner self-purification, tazkiyah. These three fundamental categories supplement one another. The first, Al-Kitab, produces a person with a knowledge that the Prophet wanted to bestow on all Muslims. This knowledge includes the basis of sciences, the fundamentals of Islam, its beliefs, laws, and the stories and lessons from the earlier prophets. The second, wisdom, functions to produce a people who are successful in running their lives, affairs, and businesses. The third category, inner self-purification, tazkiyah, is an institution whose function is to produce humble and pious people. The three fundamentals combine to make up the ingredients necessary to make a true believer. The Quran also speaks about the people of the book, who are Christians and Jews. Islam holds a special status for them, since they received revelations from God and believe in the Day of Reckoning.
It is wrong to say that Islam teaches violence between Muslims and Christians or Muslims and Jews. Islam emphasizes that you have these two traditions, especially Judaism and Christianity, they have many things in common. And you have to recognize this commonality and have better relations with them. Surah number 16, Allah says that when you discuss with the people of the book any matters, you discuss with them in a nice manner. Even when you argue with them in a nice manner. In Surah number 3, it says, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَىٰ كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ. O people of the book, come, let us join our hands on common principles, on common values. This is what it says. In Surah number 60, Surah Al-Mumtahina, what does Allah say? Allah says, Allah does not forbid you from having good relations with those who do not fight you in the matters of your religion, do not expel you from your homes. Be nice to them.
Judaism and Christianity and Islam share some of the same moral values: respect for the individual, the requirement to obey the divine will, to understand a sense of humility as being a human, non-perfect, a human to whom there is always a relationship with something that is greater and far beyond. These are things that all the religious traditions share with one another.
Islam emphasizes freedom. This Western society speaks a great deal about freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom of religion. The Quran says no compulsion in matters of religion.
God has permitted Muslim men to marry Christian and Jewish women who may or may not convert to Islam. The intimacy and love that God made between a Muslim husband and a Muslim wife can be no less when it is made between a Christian wife and a Muslim husband. Eating the foods of the people of the book is yet another indication in the bond for peacemaking. This day are all things good and pure made lawful unto you. The food of the people of the book is lawful unto you, and yours is lawful unto them. Lawful unto you in marriage are not only chaste women who are believers, but chaste women among the people of the book revealed before your time, when ye give them their due dowers, and desire chastity, not lewdness nor secret intrigues. Quran 5:5. We find in the Quran several chapters named after Christian and Jewish figures: Yusuf or Joseph, Mary, Ali Imran, the family of Mary, Ibrahim for Prophet Abraham, the table, referring to the table of Jesus offering food, the room for the Roman Empire are examples. We find in the Quran many inspiring stories about the prophets Jesus, Moses, Abraham, John the Baptist, Jacob, Joseph, and many more. Muslims are inspired by the teachings of these holy prophets, much the same as their inspiration from the Prophet Muhammad. God's omnipotence and might is reflected in miracles such as Virgin Mary giving birth to Jesus. The Quran tells us about the exchange that takes place between Mary and the angel who announced the forthcoming birth of Jesus to her. Said she, "O my sustainer, how can I have a son when no man has ever touched me?" The angel answered, "Thus it is. God creates what He wills. When He wills a thing to be, He but says unto it, Be, and it is." Quran 3:47. The angel also tells Mary, "And He will impart unto thy son revelation, and wisdom, and the Torah, and the gospel, and will make him an apostle unto the children of Israel. Quran 3:48 and 49. God emphasizes in the Quran the sacredness of the human soul and condemns acts of terror. If anyone slays a human soul, unless it be in punishment for murder or for spreading corruption on earth, it shall be as though he had slain all mankind. Whereas, if anyone saves a life, it shall be as though he had saved the lives of all mankind. Quran 5:32. Muslims believe that any regulation or act made for saving a human life, such as traffic regulations, medicinal child-proof bottling, and the protection of the ecological system, are examples for saving the human life. A Muslim is rewarded for inventing and practicing such measures and showing respect for the human soul. Muslims believe in the fraternity of all people. God said, "O humankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know and deal with each other in kindness, not that you may despise each other. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of God is the most righteous of you, and God is knower, aware." Quran 49:13.
Islam, the very word comes from peace, the word meaning peace, and Islam is a religion of peace. Muhammad the Prophet embraced Christians, he embraced Jews. Jews and Christians lived among Muslims and under Muslim authority and had the freedom to practice their religion and conduct their affairs as they did before Islam.
If there is communication and understanding, then there is friendship, collaboration, and bridge building.
If dialogue between Christians and Jews was the mandatory work after the Holocaust, dialogue between Jews and Christians and Muslims is the mandatory work in our own day and time. My own Christian tradition says, treat your enemy with respect and love, and turn your enemy into your friend. There's a table where we can sit down and talk long before we have to get to acts of desperation.
We are all our brother's keepers. We all must love our neighbors, and we have an ethical obligation not to destroy one another.
For 70 years, Muslims and Christians performed their rituals and prayers side by side before the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, Syria, was expanded in 705. Caliph Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik bought the St. Baptist Church, which was east of the mosque, from the Christians in exchange for 4 other churches in the city. Today, the tomb of John the Baptist stands in the center of the Umayyad Mosque, along with the original baptismal well and stone-made pot. One of its minarets is known as the Minaret of Jesus. Muslims believe that Prophet Jesus will be returning to earth and will start his mission from this holy place. Muslims are then supposed to follow him as well as Christians. Islam enlightened the world with spirituality and social and industrial sciences, and added to the Judeo-Christian world a 1.7 billion Muslim population who adored and revered Jesus and Moses and all other Israelite prophets.
I believe positive-minded Muslims, Jews, and Christians have an obligation to work together. The word salam clearly is related to shalom, and for us that means in the Hebrew wholeness, peace.
I tell them that a tree cannot live without a root, and the root of religion is love.
We all have a responsibility to listen. As a people, we can't go back to segregating ourselves, that we must come together more regularly, that is something that will feed us, and for tomorrow to be a hopeful tomorrow rather than a fearful tomorrow. This is the only way to be.
All religious communities, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, are forced today to re-examine those early points of contact and to reclaim the best of those points of coexistence and rationales for coexistence that exist within the tradition, and to build on that in the 21st century.
I think that what we have to do to get together is have humility. all the faiths have to have more humility. Let's start a new crusade of comradeship,
لنبدأ حملة جديدة
friendship.
والصداقة.
We're in the same camp.
There is a place for acceptance of other religions within monotheism, within every expression of monotheism, but you don't always see it.
We are friends, and we love one another, and help one another. We are members of the same family, sharing the great grandparenthood of a pair of people, Adam and Eve.
It's absolutely critical that Muslims and Christians and Jews work together in order to understand one another better, because the essence of the divine will is really the same between all of us. There are so many parallels, religious, social, moral, and ethical, in the three monotheistic religious traditions. It seems just a shame that we haven't done a better job of working together. We're all part of the same family, and we really have our differences. Sometimes those differences are substantial. Very often those differences are really quite petty. It's absolutely critical that we learn to be a little bit more generous and respectful of the other, so that we can learn to live together and to work together on common cause.
I think when we draw on the best heart of our faith traditions, we have the resources from God that we need to achieve peace and to live at peace with one another. And isn't this the desire of everyone who is a lover of God, is to live at peace with God and at peace with our neighbors. And the dynamic interaction between these religions could perhaps reveal something new in our own age that no one has discovered in ages past. It's a threshold to a brand new reality, and I believe it has God all over it.